Well, good evening once again, and welcome to the Monday review show. It's really horrible weather both here in Ireland and where Keith is in England. The weather's really, really bad, a lot of wind and rain. So if we cut in and out or if we lose picture, please just forgive us for that. Now, welcome to all the viewers from around the world, and we really do have a lot of viewers from around the world, including the US and Canada, even as far away as Australia, in New Zealand, and then we have people from India, and of course many people in Europe as well, and South Africa as well. So I was saying to Keith off air a few moments ago, when each show finishes, I often wonder, what are we going to talk about next week? And will I be scratching around looking for something to find? And always something comes up. And this past week is no exception. Keith, shall we start with the Jude Bellingham red card? Now, for those of you who didn't see it, and I did circulate it on my page, what happened here was there was a corner kick, and as the ball came across, just before it entered the net, the referee blew the whistle and said the time was up, and therefore the goal was disallowed. Keith.
Well,
yeah, I see you shaking your head.
Well, look, the advice to young referees is this, in that you cannot measure a game in milliseconds. Therefore, what you must do is stop the game at a convenient time. Ideally, if the ball is out of play or if there's a stoppage in play. Please do not get caught in the way that this very experienced referee, who allowed a corner kick, and as the ball was in the air, just like Clive Thomas did, a Welsh referee with a great reputation at that particular time, in the World Cup involving Brazil, the ball was in the air coming into the penalty box. He blew, and the ball finished up in the back of the net, just as in this case. And don't look for trouble in refereeing. And this is what these two referees did. They tried to be a little bit clever. I suspect that this referee was looking elsewhere when he blew. Please don't get caught like that. This is really poor refereeing from a senior official. Of course, technically in law, he's the sole timekeeper. But as I've mentioned before, there is law 18, and that is common sense. As a result of what I consider to be poor practice, not an error in law, but poor practice, poor application of law, he finished up red carding Jude Bellingham, who clearly was saying something out of turn. And he was surrounded. And you suddenly look, here is probably an adequate performance from a match official, and he's put himself in jail, literally, by blowing the whistle prematurely and not actually applying common sense.
Yeah, because he could have been forgiven, like Clive Thomas, for allowing play to continue, await the outcome, be it a goal, be it the goalkeeper saves it, but wait until the ball is somewhere around the middle of the field. But not during an attacking incident. And I mean, he brought it on himself. And obviously, he had never heard of Clive Thomas because somebody would have told him, don't ever do that. And like you, I would send out that message to all referees, be they young or be they experienced. Never, ever blow the whistle when the ball is coming across. Either disallow the corner kick altogether. Don't give a corner kick.
Just blow it up.
He might have got away with that. Or await the outcome of the corner kick. And then you could add on another 30 seconds. Who was going to argue? Silly. And Clive Thomas, I think that was 1978 World Cup.
Yes.
He never got another international appointment after that.
Yeah. I mean...
And I've got a funny feeling that this referee will be in a similar situation.
Yeah. I mean... Clive Thomas was one of our top referees. He was Welsh referee. He was
absolutely.
He was a class act, a terrific referee, and that cost him. And
Yeah.
these are the things that are silly when they happen. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. Just a bit of common sense, please, you referees out there.
Yeah. Now, at the same time, it does not give players an excuse or a reason to misbehave. Whatever he said, obviously the referee understood what he said in order to pull out a straight red card. Now, Jude Bellingham is English, of course, plays for the England team.
Yeah.
I'm not sure his Spanish would be that great that he'd be able to, I don't know, shout abuse at the referee in Spanish. Perhaps he was, perhaps he did. I don't know. But maybe on the other hand, the referee had a very good command of the English language and heard what he said and acted accordingly. And while the referee was correct in law, I mean, because you're not, Law 12 does specifically state about foul and abusive language. And that's what happened in this instance. And that doesn't give an excuse to the player to behave the way he did either.
Absolutely.
So in law, the referee was right, but silly.
You know, one of the things, Errol, if I may, one of the things that I find amazing is how when the final whistle is blown, referees stand around. And I just think to myself, why don't they take the walk a bit quicker to their own dressing room? I mean, why hang around? I know they have a duty of care and all that goes with it, but start making a purposeful walk towards the dressing room.
Yeah. Oh, and there's two reasons there, Keith, that I can think of. One is silly, but they're waiting for the handshakes from the players, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the other hand, if they walked off and there was a melee on the field, they could be accused of not overseeing the entire situation.
Yeah.
I remember we were always told, wait until all the players have gone off the field, then your responsibility to the player ends. Whereas if he had gone off earlier, if they go off earlier, and a melee breaks out between the two teams, and the referee's already in the dressing room.
Well, I wouldn't expect him to go to the dressing room. I think he can have an observation where he's actually moving more towards security rather than security moving to him. In certain grounds in England, we have stewards who operate very quickly. They come on and they surround the referee. Not that there's anything untoward. It's just the standard process. So maybe Spain can look at that in their own tournaments as to how they can protect their referees when they're coming off the ground.
Yeah. Because just to elaborate a little bit more on that, you'll get teams staying on the field and want to go and go down to their supporters. Well, the referee can't stay on the field all night, So there's that. Yeah. I'm just wondering if something happened and there was an incident and the referee is already off the field, could he be found liable for not doing his job, leaving the players on the field? I can see us all in the High Court arguing that one.
Yeah, I think at the elite level, there is a process and a procedure. And in fairness, probably a little bit lax in Spain. In England, it's quite clear. There are stewards available. There's the ground commander. There's the police at the very highest level. And if they see that it's hotting up a bit, they're on pretty sharp. They're there and will surround the referee and escort the referee off. I mean, I think they're then obviously keeping an eye on the players. So they, in a sense, I think it's just down to the competition and how they deal with matters. I think in the Premier League, we do get it. We had it this weekend. I've no doubt we'll talk about Nottingham Forest. And I think I've no doubt that today the Premier League and the FA will have been reviewing that incident to see whether, in fact, any changes need to be made.
Yeah, and just to remind viewers again that we are having very, very bad weather, so the signal is clicking in and clicking out. So please bear with us on that. You mentioned Paul Tierney, and I see he's been dropped now from this weekend's games.
Well, yeah, I'm not so
or
sure.
Was he through the game?
Yeah, I don't think he's been dropped at all. This guy's going to be VAR, and what we have to understand, Errol, is that there are a lot of referees. So if I look at his stats, there's been 270 games to date in the Premier League. That's 27 weeks of games, and he's only occupied the refereeing position 18 times. He's actually high up in the list. There are some referees who've only had 2 or 3 games. So he's had 18 games. So we've got to get, first of all, to understand that the referee's not out refereeing every week. That's the first thing. I would have sat Tierney on his hands this week and said, right, you need some operational advice for him to be able to review his error. But no, he has been appointed to a game as VAR. So there's no accountability in that sense. And just, I mean, some people may not have seen this incident. What happened was the ball came into the Forest penalty area. It was cleared and it went and was in possession of a Nottingham Forest player when the referee blew to stop play. The game was stopped for a few seconds. He then went, picked the ball up, and instead of, as per law, let me again reiterate, if there is a stoppage inside the penalty area, the drop ball is to the goalkeeper, whatever. It doesn't matter who played it last, it's to the goalkeeper. Yeah. Outside the area, it becomes a ceremonial drop ball, uncontested, for the team that last played the ball. And on this occasion, it was Nottingham Forest. And the referee, for some unknown reason, either a loss of concentration, dropped the ball to Liverpool, who 2 minutes later, in the 99th minute of the game, scored the winning goal. And mayhem came about. What I think we have to do as referees is we're critical of the referee because he's made a major error in a game. And sadly for him, it might have just gone away and nothing happened and the game would have fizzled out to a draw, but it didn't. Liverpool, who he dropped the ball to, went on 2 minutes later to score. I review that and I say to myself, when I gave my pre-match instructions to my assistants, I would often say to them, please ensure at restarts I am going through the right process. I'm actually restarting that game correctly. If not, I want you to inform me. And the fact that these guys are in communication, I think that when they saw Tierney dropping that ball or potentially dropping that ball to the isolated Liverpool player, at some point, one of the officials should have come in and said, Paul, you got this wrong. It's a drop ball to Nottingham Forest. But that didn't happen. And as a consequence, then, coming off the field of play, he was confronted. He was confronted by an assistant coach who he instantly gave a red card to. The owner, as I'm informed that the owner often is around the head of the tunnel at the end of a game, and that's where he was. I think there's reports about the action of the owner, but I'm not au fait with that. I think that ultimately, at the end of the day, the referee got it wrong. Now, here comes another added bit to this particular story, in that Nottingham Forest, in recent weeks, appointed former Premier League referee Mark Clattenburg to be their referee officer, i.e., one assumes to advise the coaching team, to advise the players, and seek clarification. Nottingham Forest have been very unhappy in recent months with the standard of officiating. They feel some big decisions have gone against them. And this is why they've employed Mark Clattenburg. So there's the whole mix of Tierney clearly making...
Just on that, Keith.
Yeah.
Just on that, the BBC website were reporting that Mark Clattenburg tried to make contact with the referee, with Paul Tierney, after the game in his dressing room, and that Paul Tierney wouldn't allow him in. Did you read that?
I was informed of that. I didn't read it, but I was informed. I think that the arrangement that I put in place that still exists is that 30 minutes after the final whistle, a cooling period of 30 minutes, a member of the teams can knock on the dressing room door of the match official, and I would expect the match official to have a conversation. So if Mark Clattenburg was making his approach as an employee of Nottingham Forest, seeking advice, seeking some clarification, which is why the process is there, then I think the referee's wrong. If, however, there's 3 or 4 members of the Nottingham Forest squad, if you like, trainer, coach, manager, whatever, trying to enter the referee's dressing room, then I can understand the referee saying, look, I'm not prepared to talk. But I do think that there was a situation where the referee could actually have said, look, I think I'm not questioning the integrity of the referee. He's 30 minutes after the game. I've no doubts that his colleagues have told him he's got it wrong. He's no doubts he knows he's got it wrong now. But he may be able to explain something else. And therefore, as a consequence, hold your hand up. Don't I? Just say, look, can you get me the DVD? I want to see the DVD, please. Let's have a look at the DVD together. I think there's an opportunity to have a communication on the matter. But if he said no to Clattenburg, I'm surprised in the game of football that more ex-referees, and I'm not looking for a job, but more ex-referees are not employed by clubs. And let me tell you that I've been into clubs voluntarily and advised them on foul challenges, offside, what they can and cannot say to match officials. I've advised club secretariat, administration, where they've sought clarification on a red card, and where I've seen that red card has been an out-and-out error. Going back, this was a denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity where 2 sets of the criteria, i.e. the probability of controlling the ball and the movement of the ball, which was away from goal, the referee still dismissed. The referee was wrong in law. And therefore, I advised the wording of the report, and that team, that player was got off the charge. The red card was rescinded.
Yeah. I had several messages about this, as I'm sure you had as well. But one was this conspiracy theory that has been floating around for quite a while. And it's this opinion, if you like, that, if the referee makes a mistake there, he'll try and rectify it by giving an advantage to the team. And then this all nonsense. Now, in this game, Paul Tierney had done it apparently earlier, that he had given the ball to the wrong team earlier.
Yeah.
And so the questions I'm getting bombarded with now, oh, he did it earlier, he made a mistake, and now he's making up for it.
No,
I'm just playing devil's advocate, Keith. But
Yeah.
Keith, you mentioned earlier that regardless of who has the ball, if the play is stopped in the penalty area, it automatically goes to that goalkeeper, even though it might outfield have gone to the other team. Is that
Correct.
the protocol?
Yes, that's the protocol. If the
Okay.
game is stopped inside the
Yeah,
penalty
I wasn't
area.
aware of that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that all these conspiracy circumstances and questions are wrong. I mean, what it shows to me is I'm not so sure that this referee either is concentrating as much as he did. Clearly, his colleagues have not tried to pull him out of the mire by advising him. It shows how young referees need to understand the laws of the game and keep up to date with any law changes. But Tierney, in my opinion, has got the law wrong on 2 occasions. Therefore, it would be, as the former boss of the PGMOL, I would have been on the phone to him yesterday and I would be saying to him, you need to come into my office today. I need to chat through. And I would ask him, talk me through these 2 incidents with a video. And then I would ask him about the law. I would say, right, okay, where do you see the law? And then I would tell him that because of the error that he's made in law, and this is an error in law, right? He's going to sit on his hands for at least a week. And he's going to receive some operational advice. And that operational advice would be, I'm going to raise 10 or 20 questions on the laws of the game, and I'm going to set them, and I want you to take the exam, because what is in question here, and this is the first point that you have to do if you're a referee's coach in these circumstances, is question the law knowledge, because this referee's done it. He did do it twice in the same game and made the same error twice, which means there's a shortfall in his law knowledge.
But then the conspiracy theorists are saying, oh, well, he did it on the others earlier on, so now he's trying to even it up. Okay, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I would certainly hope that he wouldn't even be thinking.
No, I say very clearly to young referees, to referees that I coach, if you make an error in a game, and it will happen, you will make an error, you have to park it. Forget about it. Don't live with it, because it's debilitating. It can knock your confidence. You've really got to say, right, get on with the game. I watched Manchester City, Manchester United yesterday. It was a terrific game, really, really well refereed by Andy Madley. So he had a terrific match, right? But I also witnessed the world's number 1 goal scorer, in my opinion, Eric Haaland, miss an open goal from 1 meter. He made a mistake. He made an error. Football is a mosaic of errors. There isn't a game that doesn't pass without a player passes the wrong ball, he makes the wrong challenge, the goalkeeper fails to save the ball. And sometimes even I check myself, because I can't. Look, my expectation is a referee's going to get it right all the time. In reality, I know that's not the case. But when an error is made, I'm often informed that, some people might say, because we're discussing it, we're criticizing the referee. This is, when a referee makes an error of this magnitude, it's a learning opportunity for every referee around the world to look at this and say, right, the man who blew the whistle when the ball was in the air and a goal resulted and he ruled it out, learn from that, learn from this about the restarts. And, I think we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I did say, look, if you've got a free kick near to goal, then take control of the ball, and as you pace out the 9.15, make certain your assistant referee is looking at that ball, and if that forward who's going to take the free kick moves it to the left or to the right, forward or back, you have him. And that is teamwork.
That's happened.
That's teamwork.
Yeah. Keith, we could probably do 2 shows on the next subject, but we have about 5 minutes or so to deal with. The new law changes, and then I could visualize you pulling your hair out, particularly on one. I think it was Law 12, handball. Was it Law 12? Yeah, the handball issue.
Well, I think first of all, let's say that they dumped the idea completely about introducing a blue card that I spent what seemed like hours talking to the media about with a negative view, that I don't think it was good for the game. I think there were other things that needed to be done. Law 12, they're saying that in the coming season, Law 12, fouls and misconduct, and it reads, handball offences that are not deliberate and for which penalties are awarded are to be treated in the same way as other fouls. Well, I've asked my colleagues around the world who've officiated at World Cups, have officiated at Olympic Games and various other things, and their answer is gobbledygook. They don't understand it. So when I finish with this show, I'm going to drop a line to Lucas Broad, someone who is the CEO at the IFAB, who I've sat on panels with. He's a very articulate guy. And I'm going to say, have you made a mistake with the law, with the verbal translation? Or what are you getting at here? Because I don't know what they're getting at. And maybe those people, you can post it on your site, but those people that are listening in, what's their view of this? I'll read it again. Handball offences that are not deliberate and for which penalties are awarded are to be treated in the same way as other fouls. That's one. Law 14. Right, part of the ball must touch or overhang the centre of the penalty mark. And encroachment by outfield players will be penalised only if it has an impact. I mean,
my word.
Now what we're saying is, so when we look forward to next season, we're looking at encroachment now being somewhat different and maybe penalised or not. And then, of course, the other thing is they've made life a little easier for the referee because they've come up with this idea on players' equipment, which says players are responsible for the size and suitability of their shin guards, which remain a compulsory part of their equipment. What that means is,
so they could get a shin guard this size.
Yep.
And
then the referee,
and say, I'm covered by law because I have a shin guard.
Yeah. And the referee can say, have you got a shin guard? And he goes, yeah, I'm okay. I don't know what these people do for it. I'm just lost for words. I think they spend all year meetings, discussions. I like the idea that they're trying to get further clarification on concussion. I'm with that, and the fact that there's now a concussion substitute. That's brilliant for the health of players. But come on, guys, try and make life a bit easier for the referees. You know,
Keith, on that passing note, as they say, we shall move on, because we could go on and on and on about it, but we'll definitely come back to it next week and try and explore it a little bit more. For anybody watching out there, keep your questions coming in. Any questions you'd like, any parts of the law you'd like clarified, and I don't. We could spend 3 or 4 shows just on these new changes alone. And honestly, the people who write this stuff and who make this stuff up, they're not making life any easier for the referee.
No, they're not.
We'll do it all again next week. Please God, Keith. Thank you very much for joining me again. Unfortunately, the weather was playing havoc with us and kept cutting in and out. But I hope it didn't spoil it for you people out there. Until next Monday, 8 o'clock, we'll be back again, Keith and I.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.